We are Gathering of the Geeks, a podcast and YouTube show built around the things we as geeks all love. Hashtag We Gather on Sundays. Thank you for checking out the one about Father's Day and Indonesian raids. I am one of your hosts, Emmet, and I'm joined by the Ted Lasso to my coach Beard, Chris Evans. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
Shipshape. Doing Shipshape today.
Shipshape is good. I like Shipshape. Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to you and everyone else who is a father figure in their kids' lives. Thanks for watching, everybody, already. We've got Grabs, Eric, Cookie, DC Patrol in the comments already. Thanks for checking us out. Guys, Gathering of Geeks is available wherever you get your podcast. Just search Gathering of the Geeks and you will find us.
Apparently the raids thing is throwing people.
Indonesian raids, yeah. When you put it on there, I knew what you were talking about because we talked about the raid last week briefly, that you were going to watch it. Throwing in the Indonesian part just kind of switches everybody up.
I thought I needed to be specific.
Yeah.
Because if I just put raids, nobody's going to know what I'm talking about. But you know, Indonesian raids, it adds a little bit of spice. It gets the people going.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, getting people excited, getting people excited in the comments already.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chris, what'd you get up to this week? What do you feel like talking about in the world of comics, TV shows, movies, and all that good stuff?
I got up to a lot, actually. Of course, Sunday was the comic dump, so I read a lot of comics.
Yeah,
I got to read Grimm #2. Did you check that out?
I haven't read it. I wasn't. I didn't enjoy #1 as much as you did, so I didn't check out #2. I think I said I should just to see if I like it any better. So I will, but I haven't read it yet.
I think you should, but also if you didn't like the first one, you probably won't like the second one.
Okay,
but you still should. Just give it a shot. It's a little different. It goes more into the story of the Reapers and whatnot, and there's some really cool visuals.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. That was a highlight for me. I didn't get to Jurassic League yet, but that's okay. I did get to a story called. It was released last year. It's called Dracula. I don't know if we should censor this. MFer.
Oh, just.
I don't know if we need to censor that or not.
No, you have to say it because that's the big selling point of the book, or one of the big selling points is the book.
Okay, earmuffs for the kids. It's called Dracula Motherfucker.
That's right.
Yeah, it was released last year, and I had a review copy, I think in August, but I just never got around to it. And I was supposed to read it and review it. I was like, yeah, I'll get to it. And then I think I probably got lost in something X-Men or Batman. But I read it this week, and that was pretty fun. It's a 70s Dracula story, and it's got some really cool visuals. Very pretty to look at.
Well, yeah, let's stick with that a little bit. You sent it to me, and I said I was going to finish it, but I didn't. So I'm going to look to see what page I got to, and then we can chat about it a little bit. So, yeah, the art is really surprising to me about how it looks. I got to just around page 30, so it looks like I got about halfway.
You got a chunk left, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the one of the big surprises to me about the book is the vampire, if you were like the visuals of
Dracula himself,
Dracula, in the casket also. Like he's not a real, like there's no real entity. It doesn't look like there's a real physical form. It looks like, for a lack of a better term, he's like a shadow. I was really surprised about that, and also how. In that surprising nature of how he looked, how much I enjoyed that. How much I didn't want to see a guy in a cloak. As much as we love that, as much as we love the traditional vampire, this was very much not a traditional vampire, which I thought was very interesting. Well, the look of him, the look.
That's actually, if I had a complaint, that is the complaint.
Really? Okay.
I wish he would have had a normal form at some point in the book. I actually like the idea that he is this giant shadow with eyes and teeth. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I wish he would have had some form at some point in the book. Grabs made a comment, so says as a selling point of a book. And you got to read to understand. Because they don't actually say it anywhere in the book. It is just the title for some reason. And it just kind of funny, I suppose. It's supposed to be like a joke. I don't really know. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the visual style is very interesting, like you said. Even the other characters in there, like the female vampires,
Yep.
very
Yep.
interesting looking. And the story is not that complex. It's meant
Mm-hmm.
to be like a 70s horror movie, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty cool. I think that was my highlight as far as reading this week.
Yeah, I agree about the story not being complex, but it's not simple either. And
Mhm.
I've only read the 30 pages or so, and a lot happens in that 30 pages.
A lot.
Um,
It's a very rapidly paced book.
yeah, and like in the first couple pages with Dracula itself, and the character, or like the characters that you see over just the first couple, like there's a
Mhm.
lot of liberties taking. You have to be like, oh, what's happening here? What we're here in this place seems like a different time, and then they fast forward a whole bunch. So they take some
Yeah.
liberties with the story, but I think the more you read, the more everything starts just coming together.
Hmm. Agreed. And it's just a good time, I think, if you like horror, and if you just like 70s. I don't know what you would want to call it. It's 70s stuff. It
Hmm.
just kind of it's fun.
Yep.
It's just a fun book. Like I said, that was my highlight of the week. That and Grimm. I know I read other stuff. Like I read the Moon Knight anthology book. I forget what it's called. I
Hmm.
wasn't too high on that. Did you check it out?
Yeah, I read it too, and I didn't have high hopes, but after the first one, where I think I liked, I can't remember if I liked two out of the three, or I really liked one out of the three. The three stories in this one didn't really grab me as much.
Grabs is a 70s.
He's a '70s thing. I like that.
DC Patrol. Yes, if you like 70s and horror, check it out.
Hmm.
It's a good time. It really is, and it is longer than your average comic too. It's about 60 pages, I think. So
Hmm.
definitely check it out if you're into it. Um, yeah, the Moon Knight thing. I liked the two out of the three stories in the first issue.
Hmm.
In this issue, I liked maybe a few panels out of the book.
Yeah,
Was not really
yeah.
into it.
That I felt the same way. It's tough with the anthology series. Writers just kind of tell a one-off story and then move on.
Mhm.
More Mr. Knight in this one. It felt like too.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Knight's pretty popular. I think
Sure.
he's really popular with the Moon Knight fans and whatnot.
Hmm.
So I expect to see him a lot these days.
Tales of the Crypt,
Was
you're not '70s. It's more '90s.
no, yeah. Tales of the Crypt is more like I would say like '90s horror, and it's
Hmm.
beautiful '90s horror too. I remember being a
I
kid and I would watch it, and I just loved the opening so much.
Yeah, with the I remember watching it late night TV. I think
Yeah,
that's when it was on. Yeah, that's right.
it was a late show, and I used to stay up to
Hmm.
watch it. And it was just glorious. Probably why I'm the way I am today.
Yeah, I was gonna say that makes you into the man you are today.
I'm not complaining.
The only one of the things I only remember about the crypt is the opening. I can picture the opening scenes. Zeddy, every week you come on here talking about this. I'm gonna have to send it to him so he gets off my back about it. Jeez Louise, stay out of my DMs, Zeddy. Um, yeah. So one of the only things I remember about Tales of the Crypt is the opening. I barely remember the show. I don't know if it's just because like the visual
Mm,
of the crypt keeper himself, or maybe it's just me. But like, it seems like such a more memorable opening than the actual contents of the show
I
for
can't
me,
tell you
anyway.
about a single episode,
Yeah, isn't that strange?
but I can tell you the opening piece for piece.
Exactly. I don't know what that is. Um, he's a memorable character for sure. In his visual style, and cracking jokes and being a goof. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love goofy, scary stuff?
Speaking of goofy, scary
Mm,
stuff, did you see the teaser trailer for the Munsters?
I did. Yes.
And so we've been talking about it. We talked about it a little while ago. We were kind of talking Adam's Family versus the Munsters
Mhm.
a little bit, and how nervous you were for the Munsters movie. Obviously, Rob Zombie, his wife, who we're not the biggest fan of, who he just
Mhm.
puts in every single movie. The visual style, what kind of movie it's going to be, and we get a kind of a trailer. It's very goofy. It seems kind of in line um, with the Munsters a little bit. And you tell me, what did you think of the little kind of the I don't know character introduction of what we saw?
I actually liked it. I like
Hmm.
he recreated the opening of the show,
Right.
so I thought that was really cool. That was a nice touch, and that's really all I wanted out of a teaser.
Mm-hmm.
So I got it, and I'm happy.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, and now what the movie will end up being, who knows? But at least I got a 30-second teaser.
I was going to say something you can remember. It's like, oh, the time before.
We'll always have the teaser.
That's right. We'll always have the teaser. I'm
yeah,
with you. I'm with you, DC Patrol. I'm always was always a bigger Addams Family fan over the Munsters. So
speaking of, did you see the Wednesday Addams trailer?
Yeah, the little kind of.
There's been a lot of stuff.
What's her name? Jenny Ortega, I think.
Yes, she's from Scream, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. One of the big surprises was Cousin It, or not. Sorry.
Thing.
Oh. Yeah, sorry, Thing. And he's got all the scars.
That looked really weird when he coughed.
I was coughing. I'm sorry.
I know, but it just looked like.
Weird. Don't think about it. All the scars on his hand.
Yeah, that was different.
Thing's hand. I was wondering what that was about. Maybe just he's the hand running around. He's going to get cuts on his hand.
I was thinking just like pristine because he knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
he wouldn't get hit.
In the Addams Family movies, he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, like even
jumping
when he did
and flipping,
the Morse
riding
code.
a skateboard. Yeah, that's right.
I was thinking the Morse code because I love that scene when Gomez is arguing with the TV about where the witches meet.
Yeah, or it was Sally Jesse Raphael. Yeah.
Mr. Addams, we don't know when they meet. Something like that.
Yeah. So good.
And if I got paid to make a movie, and then the same people would pay my wife if I put her in everything, you bet your sweet cheeks she'd be in everything. That is fair. I actually can't argue with that.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with Rob Zombie putting his wife in it. Just I don't find her enjoyable.
Cookie agrees with you about the end.
House of a Thousand Corpses or Devil's Rejects.
I like Devil's Rejects. I didn't know there was a sequel to it.
Yeah.
I probably won't watch it, but it's good to know that it exists.
Yeah. So I'm okay with Sherry Zombie doing those type of things, but she shouldn't be in everything. Like she didn't have to be Michael Myers' mom, and she didn't have to be in what's the other one called? Lords of Salem. It can be any actress. It doesn't have to be her wife in every single one. But that's besides the point. So, anyways, yeah, the Wednesday thing kind of what was that 2 weeks ago with Netflix doing their Geek Week or whatever it was?
I have no sense of time.
I can't remember if it was last week or whatever. But yeah, she looks like Wednesday Addams, and the thing with the scarred up hand was something that was interesting. But yeah, so that was exciting.
Devil's Rejects is yes. Excuse me. Devil's Rejects is actually good. I agree with that. If there's one of his movies I like, it is that one. It's great. But the sequel, I didn't even know it was released. It kind of went under the radar, which makes me think it's not the same quality as Devil's Rejects.
Yeah,
so I'll probably leave it alone.
I can't remember what that one's called.
I don't know yet. I just looked at the IMDb the other day and discovered it.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of cool, but I don't know. Don't know if I'll track it down. I don't think so. Grabs, you're not really missing much, in my opinion. His Halloween movies are up for debate. Some people love them, some people don't. I do not. I don't think Emmet does either.
I like the first one a little bit.
Okay.
But the second one, he just okay, I'm going to do the weirdest possible things to Michael Myers. That's it. Thank you, Cookie. It's Free from Hell. Halloween 2, he just went completely off the board with, Michael Myers and his history and his voice. So it just didn't. Number 2 just didn't do it for me, and 1 was okay, but it's still, I'd rather watch the newer ones or obviously the older ones over the Rob Zombie ones any day.
Yeah, I think if you're going to watch a Rob Zombie film, The Devil's Rejects is the one to watch. It's the most
coherent, I agree there,
and it's just entertaining.
I remember for a while he was slated to direct a movie about the Philadelphia Flyers, the hockey team, about them back in the 70s. That was before he did 3 from Hell, I think. I remember me and my friend who were big hockey fans, and he's a big fan of older hockey from the 70s and 80s and early 90s. How weird it would have been to see a Rob Zombie movie about free swinging and wild times in a hockey arena with the Philadelphia Flyers. I remember that was such a weird thing. I can't remember how far he got in the process of directing it, but it was just such a weird mix of Rob Zombie doing a sports movie in a way.
Well, I guess he's got other interests. If I were allowed to make a movie, I'd probably make rom-coms.
Yeah.
after I, until I'm allowed to make a superhero film and probably fail, like it'll be a box office disaster. Then I'll just do like independent rom-coms.
Yeah, that would be good.
I think it'd be fun. Maybe I can get you Grant to do one.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just saying, hypothetically.
The screaming never ever stopped. The screaming in the movie theater, it was an annoying people, or yeah, that's right, Eric. The Broad Street Bullies. Screaming as in you screaming because you hated it, or was screaming because the theater was screaming and you didn't enjoy the movie. Let us know. What else? Did you watch anything this week?
I did. I watched 3 different movies. I had time this week.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Jeez, take it easy. Slow down, Chris.
Wait, after the I think I've said the last few weeks have been just a continuous circus. So this week I didn't have that. I was like, you know what? I want to watch movies this week. So I watched The Raid 1 and 2, and yeah. So these movies have been built up for me. I always heard these are like the action movies to watch. You will not find a better action film. And I was like, okay. And I were watching Dread, and they're like, well, if you like Dread, you're going to love The Raid. And again, I was like, okay. And so I watched them both. And these movies were insane. The action in them is nuts. I've seen, plenty of action films, but this is on a different level. Like the first one, for those of you who are not familiar with The Raid, it's an Indonesian, I guess, martial arts movie. They use a special kind of martial arts that is from that region. And so the first movie is about cops who raid a giant apartment building. And it's them, the entire movie, I think it's about an hour and 40 minutes, is them in this building trying to get to the top level and then trying to escape. It's a lot like the Dread movie. If you've seen Dread with Carl Urban, it's very, very similar.
Yep.
And so that's what the first one is. It's very well written, but it's not complicated at all. It's very straightforward. It's just cops need to get where they're going. It's basically, there is a twist at the end, but it's one of those things, if you've ever seen any movie in your life, you will see coming. Any movie in the world. Yep. So, but the action is really what sells these movies. You have some crazy graphic stuff in it.
Yeah.
Like there was some things where I was amazed they actually did it, like shotgun blasts to the face and things like that.
Yeah, the light tube.
Light tube.
Light tube to the face. Yeah.
There's a fight where they're using a light tube to kill each other, and it's amazing. And there's one specific kill which really stood out to me. They break a door, and there's like jagged wood on the bottom. Right. So one character runs, grabs another one's head, jumps, and slams it onto the jagged. It's amazing. Really, The Raid is great. Juan's mother loves the Raid movies. They showed on Spanish cable, and my mom is a huge Jackie Chan fan, and she saw this and it blew her away. That's kind of awesome. Grabs the second one. They have to get back. No, they get out of the building in the first one. So the second one is much more complicated. The second one, is like about warring factions and undercover cops and different stuff. It's really confusing for the first 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
But after that, the story smooths itself out, and we get back to some insane action with more shotgun blasts to the face and a girl with hammers. Like there's a scene in the train scene with the hammers. Wow. There's that. I love the 2 Raid movies. I do like the first one better, but they're both really, really good.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. And the part that takes me out of it, no, that's fine. Rambling about the Raid is more than allowed. I agree with you. And the second one, it turns me off because of the story. I just find they try and do way too much and try to tell. I don't know, and it seems like such a tonal shift from the first one, where it's literally people going up in a building. And this one, it's cool that the action is so varied. Like there's the mud scene, there's the car chase scene, and then there's I think they're in a factory or a warehouse or something, and there's kitchens and
the bottom of a restaurant. I don't understand.
Yeah.
But
Anyway,
the locations make zero sense.
Yeah, no sense. And yeah, and like the convoluted story it just I didn't need it. And I get what they were trying to do, trying to tell, trying to breathe life into the story, into the world a little bit more, but they could have done the Raid 2 with them going back down the building. They could have made that movie and I still would have watched it because of how good the action scenes are. There isn't a better action scene in any movie that I've ever seen. I'm also like Juan's mom. I'm a huge Jackie Chan fan, a huge martial arts fan. So I'll watch anything with a martial arts theme to it. I'm a big fan of those films. So yeah, I could just watch it just because of how good the action is. And I don't know. I don't think that it's the new age or the old age John Wick. Like this is John Wick before John Wick, and in much better form with even less interesting characters than John Wick. John Wick's got much more interesting characters, but I think the action in the Raid was way before its time. Obviously, it's a foreign movie. It's all subtitles. Yeah. you get that for me, Grabs. I'll wear it, okay, buddy?
But is it just going to be text, or are we going to have like a picture or something?
It's going to be just a white shirt with black eye, like Juan's mom. Keep it simple. Yeah. So, damn it, you lost Grabs. I lost my train of thought.
I would like to have a T-shirt of like it would have like Juan's face on it.
I'm like Juan's mom.
Yeah, but I think it should have like Juan's face on it. I don't know. Could we do that, Juan? What do you think?
Yeah, the Juan. We need permission to. So I can still like her interest in martial arts movies, Juan.
I think the martial arts movies are for everyone.
Yeah, I agree.
And the Raid can bring us together.
All right, so you ruined my train of thought. Anyways, the Raid is very good. The Raid 2 is still good, but I think it could have done without the more convoluted story. What do you think about them making a English version of the Raid, which they are doing?
I don't. I'm going to see it now because I'm invested, but I don't see how you top these two.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can do it, but I would be in for that. Unfortunately, I watched the first one with the English dub on.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was a whole experience. It kind of it added something to it in a way, but not something good. And then like halfway through, I was thinking, I could just turn this off and put the subtitles on. It's like, we got this far. Might as well see how it finishes. With the second one, I watched it with the subtitles though, and that was a better experience. But good stuff, very good stuff. I don't know if I would want to watch I will watch an English remake, but I don't know if I will have high expectations. Especially, I just found this out last night. They originally wanted to make the Raid 2 first. That was the original story idea, but they didn't have the funding for it, so they made the first one. And then when they made the first one, Gareth Evans sold the rights to whatever company to make the English remake, and that's how he got funding for the second one.
Interesting. It seems like they've been making the Raid 2. Do you know when it came out?
I think the second one was 2014. I could be wrong.
Yeah, so it seems like they've been working on that English version one for a really long time. Did you see the Swedish version of the girl with the dragon tattoo, and then have you seen the English version of the girl with the dragon tattoo? Do you see an overall question here about movies with subtitles, foreign language films versus a remake in English? What's your thought on those? Do you think they're lesser than? Do you think they're even worthwhile to do? Obviously, you said you're going to watch the Raid just because you're invested. The English version of the Raid because you're invested in it, but what's the overall relationship between you and foreign language films and then their English remake?
I don't mind them. I mean, we all like seeing actors we're more familiar with. We like hearing dialect that we immediately understand.
Sure.
So it doesn't really bother me. And there are some cases where it works. Like I think Let Me In and Let the Right One In is a prime example. They can coexist. I actually think Reeves is better, which is surprising because I love the original. And then there's like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is another case where I like both, but I think the original is better. But I still like both. So yeah, I'm okay with it. It's just I think some movies, like a movie like this, it's going to be, I don't know the word for it, but westernized, I guess. I don't know. They're going to make it suitable for our audience,
Yeah.
which probably means cutting a lot of what makes these movies great and trying to insert story pieces that these original ones don't have
Mm-hmm.
and we don't need. Like just what we're talking about with the Raid 2. There's too much story to the point where it confuses you at points.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to get a lot of that in an American one.
I remember when I watched the English version of the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo first, and then I watched the foreign language ones. And one of the problems I had with it was the movie takes place in winter in Sweden, and the subtitles are in white. So I couldn't read them because there's just snow everywhere. I was like, oh no, I can't stand this. And I don't like dubbing. I find it deplorable in every nature. In the sound of it, in the how they think these characters are supposed to sound is also stupid, and I hate it. I think it's offensive actually. So I like subtitles in anything. We've talked about this. We do subtitles in video games and TV shows and movies we watch just because. So I'm a much bigger fan of subtitles, but I just couldn't get past the white subtitles on a white screen on white backdrop of snow. I just couldn't make the correlation there.
But it looked pretty.
Yeah, sure it did. I actually found the foreign one harder to watch for the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, for the I guess the offensive scenes or the hard to watch scenes. I found them much more hard in the original versus the American version, which is pretty strong to say considering how hard it was to watch some of the scenes in the English version. I don't think I have a preference over one or the other. You just hope that they don't change too much to make it culturally different. I think that's the one thing I like about the foreign ones is the culture that they bring over to people who don't usually watch those type of movies. And I think subtitles usually they rub people the wrong way, and I think it's a simple thing to get past to enjoy a movie in all its glory.
Speaking of, so Graham says, it's weird. The only foreign movie I really love is Pan's Labyrinth because I don't have to read most movies. However, I watch most movies with captions on to pick up what I won't hear. No sense. So for me, I kind of agree with this too. And depending on the film, I don't really want to read subtitles. I will do it. Brotherhood of the Wolf is a great example. That's a really long movie. It's very talky. There's a lot of subtitles.
It's very talky. I like that.
I love it though. It's a great film, I think. But yeah, some movies I just don't like. Comedies, I will not read. I can't do a comedy with subtitles. I'll have captions on it, for whatever reason. But to actually have to read it, no, I can't do that. I will just listen to the dub. And also, Pan's Labyrinth is a masterpiece.
I've always wanted to see that, and I've never gotten
it?
around to it. No, I haven't.
It's really good. I don't even know if there is a dub version of it. There might be. But I think the dub version would definitely take away from Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah, I want to check it out. I love the weird Guillermo del Toro, which is basically all Guillermo del Toro.
Have you seen what his new movie is? I think it's called Mad God.
No, that was also a thing. I can't remember what that was. I think that was last week. I read about it, but I didn't read in too much about it. Was that the Netflix thing too?
I think it's on Shudder. Maybe it's a stop motion horror movie. It looks.
Maybe we're not thinking about the same thing.
Maybe we're not. I think he does have a Netflix thing too. But I think it's called Mad God, and it's something to do with stop motion. So if I get like horror version of Corpse Bride or Nightmare Before Christmas, I'm all in.
He's also got that Pinocchio thing too going.
Yeah, I didn't see the trailer for that, but I'm not as interested.
What is that Netflix thing for him? Look that up. The Cabinet of Curiosities. New horror anthology series for Netflix based on his own short story of the same name, and with each episode reportedly introduced by the director himself. 8 stories. There you go.
Yeah, that's not what I meant. That's not what I was thinking.
That's fine.
It sounds cool. But that's not what
No worries.
I will watch. I love Guillermo del Toro. I watch anything he does. Just the Pinocchio thing, I'm not that excited about. I'll see it, but I'm not really excited about it.
Yeah, it was weird they released the thing about Del Toro's Pinocchio, and I think it was a week ago where we got the Robert Zemeckis.
I didn't realize there was 2 Pinocchios.
Really. Yeah.
And
how are they allowed to make two Pinocchios, or doesn't Disney own Pinocchio?
No,
They
he is one of
decided to do
those.
Pinocchio.
He, like the Winnie the Pooh thing. He's in one of those.
Oh,
I forgot public domain.
yeah, that's right.
He's in
I was
public.
going to
He's a
ask you
public.
about that Winnie the Pooh horror movie
Cannot
thing.
wait.
Yeah.
Cannot wait.
That's so good. Did you get around to Miss Marvel and Kenobi this week?
I like you too, one.
Yeah.
I got around to both of them, yes. I enjoyed both. I thought Miss Marvel was very entertaining, light on the superhero stuff. It is much more on world building of this one character, which I appreciate. It kind of reminds me of Batman Begins in a way. I know this is a wild comparison, but in Batman Begins, they make you care about Bruce Wayne before he puts on the suit.
Mm-hmm.
And you actually care, about him going forward. And so that's the way I feel about this. We're caring about Kamala before she becomes a superhero.
Yep.
So I
liked it as well, and it was interesting the cop or whatever that they are interviewing her one, or not her friend, but that one person that was at Avengers Con. That's the same guy from No Way Home, right?
Yes, that is. I just call him Stewie because he's from Succession.
Okay, yeah, that's right. So that's the same group that was investigating Peter and his whole thing with from the other one, Far From Home.
Yeah, that's the same one.
Same guy. I can't tell. Okay, so I like that they're and I mentioned this when we talked about it a while ago, that the Miss Marvel coming off of Moon Knight is very much in this grander MCU. So I like seeing him in there, regardless of what I think they're doing or the inclusion of the his partner, I guess, in the whole thing. So I just like how. I just like that eventually it seems like they're building, like you said, where they're laying the groundwork before we get to the serious stuff. And the big reveal at the end of the episode was interesting. Something, I don't know if I should have saw it coming, but they were, being a little too on the nose with Kamala's new friend, who just kind of out of nowhere. And then here he is, and then they're best friends. And turns out he's very important to the story overall.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. So, one thing I found weird about Miss Marvel this week was when she's doing her little training montage, and her powers are really strange to me. She's basically Iceman.
I don't understand what her powers are in this show.
She throws crystals and makes crystal elongated arms. I'm not really sure about what it is. So I was very confused about this whole idea that she's like throwing crystals and sliding down crystal ramps like she's Bobby from Iceman. Or from X-Men, it's very strange. And I know we've talked about this, that, her powers are different than what they are in the comic book, which, neither of us are huge Miss Marvel fans or, aficionados or whatever, so it doesn't really matter. But I just found them very strange with how they work and how she's training and how she's figuring it out.
Yeah.
I don't know, just something rubbed me the wrong way about it.
It's very Spider-Man-esque.
Well, you mentioned that it's very much like Homecoming, right?
It is, and we're going to use that term, Spider-Man-esque, because like she's training out in the open, she's yelling, and she's a kid. Yeah. But yeah, I don't get it. And in the comics, she's an Inhuman, so it's not about this bracelet that unlocks her great aunt or whatever it is. Yeah, I don't really understand what they're doing. I'm hoping that we do get some more clarification of what this is and what she can do. Because to simplify it, in the comics, she's like Mr. Fantastic. She stretches.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
She could get she grows like Ant-Man or something.
Yeah,
I think that's the simplest way to explain her power set. But in the series, it's completely different, and it's kind of thrown me for a loop. Not because I know the character well, but because I thought I knew enough about the character, and now I'm lost it. But I am enjoying the journey so far.
Do you have a theory about why they did change her powers like that? Or is that a thing that was talked about? I don't know if it was. Do you have an idea about why they would change it like that?
I think they did mention it, but I don't remember the reason. If I had to guess like my own, this is what I think, headcanon, they don't want her to look like Mr. Fantastic.
That's what I was half thinking too, is that eventually they're going to have Fantastic Four. Obviously, we saw John Krasinski in Multiverse of Madness, and they just don't want. Oh, is she related to Reed Richards some way or something like that, and they just wanted to change it. I just wonder
Reed
why
Richards
they
is in the
chose.
show. There you go.
Yeah, that's right.
It's Mephisto.
So I did, yeah, exactly. I just wonder why they chose to have the powers. She crystallized, and she can't control it a little bit in this episode. Is also interesting. Her nose starts to turn, and then her hand
Yeah,
while she's in the washroom. So I'm wondering, with this bracelet, does she ever take it off? Why is she wearing it all the time, or can she take it off? I don't know. And something about the powers just didn't do it for me this episode.
You brought up an interesting thing. When her nose kind of becomes crystallized, I'm starting to wonder: is she like Emma Frost now? To make another
right.
reference, I don't know. Zeddy said episode 2 reminded him a lot like Shazam. I definitely get that too. It's like Freddy and Billy.
Yes.
Okay, it's like Freddy and Billy, trying to figure out what he's got. I'm with Juan here. This is just the beginning, so I'm pretty sure we'll see. Kamala feels very Peter Parker-esque. I agree. A lot of Peter Parker here, I think. That had to be the inspiration. Yeah, that's another thing. It's not something that I'm nitpicking or judging really because I don't know her very well. I only know like the game and stuff. How do you remember Freddy but aren't sure about Billy? I remember Shazam. I know Billy becomes Shazam. That's like, Freddy's Freddy. He's just Freddy. And he becomes Adam Brody, I think.
Yeah. One of my other big highlights, or one of my highlights from the episode, was the musical montage, I guess.
Yeah.
She goes to this party, and she gets her, I think his name's Cameron, and she gets his number, and she arrives back home and kind of does a little dance. Very musical number. I thought that was very cute and very fun. I did a lot of smiling in this episode about the stuff that we saw. I thought Kamala Khan, there's an innocence to her, and Zeddy's mentioned Shazam. We've mentioned Peter Parker. So they're really playing on this young adult vibe so far. And I'm a grown man, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm here for it. I'm not watching this with my my son or my daughter or anything like that. I'm finding enjoyment just in high school kids. Her finding her way. Her family ideals that have changed a little bit from the first episode with her and her mother. How in this one they're much more on the same level about certain things, but then it's added in differently when they start talking about her mother's grandmother or her mother's mother. I can't remember. So the family dynamic of it, the family dynamic is also really strong in this episode, but for a different reason than it was in the first one.
Juan brings up another good point. I love seeing the culture in this show.
Yep.
The representation is fantastic here. And Zeddy also another great point that maybe they made it. They changed the powers to get her closer to Captain Marvel. That could be it too.
Yep.
Ian brings up the hijab scene. Is that how you pronounce it? Yep. That was also very good. I just like the way they're leaning into it. They're not shying away from it. They're not changing it. From what I understand, it's very true to what it is. So I'm enjoying that as well. I like seeing the other cultures and the diversity in these shows. Agreed. I think that it's good to have it there. And sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I said this weeks ago. If a little girl can watch this show and say, I see myself, their job is done. The show's job is done.
100%. It's almost like Moon Knight teased the different cultures too a little bit. With the Egyptian stuff, and now the very next one is Miss Marvel, and like you said, Chris, they're not shying away from it. I don't think, from what the very limited knowledge I know about the Muslim community, I don't think they're shying away from it. Whether it be the outfits, the temple, the mosque, the music, and the cultural
the party,
the parties, the street party they had, all that kind of stuff. I If I can see something that's not in my wheelhouse for different culture, different communities, and I can find enjoyment in it, I hope that also people who are in that community and in that culture can find much more as well. So all on board for that. What did you think about Kenobi this week? The penultimate episode, one more to go, which is another thing altogether. Why the hell is it only 6 episodes? We'll get into that a little bit. So what did you think about Kenobi this week?
It's hard for me to talk about Kenobi because I'm biased and I love it.
That's fine. Talk. I love it.
I think that from the opening, when you see young Anakin, from that point until the very end, I was just in love with this episode. Yeah, it's not perfect. There's some quirks in it, some things that I don't think were great, but overall, this is just an awesome episode. It delivers on, I think, what a lot of people have been waiting for, while pushing the story that we've been following. You know, like Eric says, we got the flashback, we have the present day stuff, we got great development with Reva, or we have that scene with Tala, who finally meets. Oh, you know what? Spoilers. There's some with Tala. That's cool. It's fitting. The only thing I think little Leia didn't really have anything to do, and they just kind of threw her into something. Literally, like, hey, go do something here.
Yeah.
And then that ending is beautiful. With the ships, that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So I half agree with everything that you're saying. All the moments you just mentioned are great. Mm-hmm. It's all the stuff that's in between those moments that the show just doesn't do it for me. Seeing the prequel flashback, awesome. Seeing Vader hold that ship and stop it from moving, great. But then it's just the fine tuning stuff, like that Leia stuff. Like, okay, so there's this little hatch. They made this hatch. Somebody made this hatch, but there's nobody in the world that can get into it other than this little girl. And then she spends 25-30 minutes looking at cables, moving cables, and
like you do.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, and we mentioned this about the Leia thing, having her around, whether or not keeping her around. I think it was after the second episode, like, oh, it's just going to be Leia, like, rescue mission, and her storyline throughout. And I think it was we didn't want her around as much.
Yeah,
not if it was going to be move away. Yeah, so exactly. So yeah, I had a problem with that, and I had a lot of logistical problems with it. So Reva and the stormtroopers are shooting the blast door, and then she asks the stormtroopers to stop. She walks up to it, stabs her lightsaber into it, and opens it. Why did you bother blasting the door to begin with?
Gets the people going.
Yeah. So it's the moment before that, it's the moment after that I was great. And the stuff with we'll do spoilers for this just because it's Kenobi is the most popular show in the world. The Grand Inquisitor stuff coming back, I wasn't sold on him coming back, and why is Reva still alive, and the whole thing with Kenobi's little, whatever you call it, the hologram, whatchamacallit, left behind. So, but again, moments are great. I have no problem with moments as well. Not every TV show has to be Succession, Mad Men, where every scene matters. It could be, sure, but it doesn't have to be, because and it's something Zeddy mentions a lot when talking about Star Wars, and I think he's mentioned this about The Mandalorian, is bringing Star Wars fandom together because of how toxic it has been in the past. So if Kenobi can bring more people together with people loving it like you are, and I don't think as many people are shitting on Kenobi or being as harsh about it as Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker.
I don't think so.
Since then,
it seems to be more like middle ground for a lot. Some people love it. Some people think it's okay. I haven't seen anybody downright hate it.
Mm-hmm. So I'm okay with that. If all these moments of Vader, people get to see Vader doing badass things. Because again, he's a badass in every scene that he's in. If holding that ship, and then there's another ship behind it, sure, whatever. Him holding that ship for that one time, awesome. I'd love to see it. And just like you, I was like, oh my god, he's holding that ship and he rips it open, all that stuff. It's great. But there's just the moments in between where it's much different than The Mandalorian season 2. I think, which I absolutely adore, and even season 1. Seems like there's a little bit of a difference between the storytelling. Overall, it's interesting. I think I noticed this after maybe the second or third episode, that Favreau and Filoni aren't producers and writers on Kenobi, like they are on Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. It's very much a Deborah Chow thing. Yes. It seems like I think she's directing every single episode, which is very unlike things. I think this was talked about on the Straight Outta Gotham stream with Nico and Eric, where they talked to him, and I think it was Chris, you mentioned it in the comments about it being Why didn't they just make a movie
Yeah,
instead of doing the 6-part series? And Deborah Chow's directing every single episode. What was it a movie to begin with, and they kind of changed tactics? Maybe, I don't know.
yeah. Well, originally we're making an Obi-Wan movie, from what I understand, and then they, I guess they saw the success of Mandalorian and said, "Hey, let's do that." I'm guessing that's what happened, and I think that we should have just had a movie. And I say that, and I love the show. So the thing about Reva and Vader, when she was on her knees and Vader had the 2 lightsabers, I was expecting a Count Dooku-like execution to happen.
Yep.
And I was all in for that. Even though I like Reva, I was like, hey, if I can get a Dooku, let's do this again. Yes. Give me the chaos and the violence. And then, no. I that is kind of an issue with the show, though. I agree with you. It's kind of like it's a bunch of great moments strung along by a thin story or a thin plot line, which is Vader is hunting Obi-Wan. That is what everything boils down to, and it's just a means to an end. Now, in that respect, in that same regard, I am enjoying this overall story and the characters, but I do wish it was tighter.
Well, and the thing with this Reva thing about her not being punished, I guess you'd say, by Vader, for the longest time I thought that Reva and Anakin saved her somehow in the Jedi Temple in that Order 66. So they were together, working together, and that's why he's being so lenient with her. But then we find out in this one that Reva is looking to stab Darth Vader in the back at the first chance she gets. So the idea of Vader keeping her along and stringing her along doesn't hold weight now because of that reveal.
So there's a little debate about the lack of Hayden Christensen in the comments right now. And I think the show is marketed a certain way. I will say that. It was marketed a certain way, which was the ultimate showdown between Obi-Wan and Vader. However, let's take a look at The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight was marketed as Batman versus the Joker. Is that what that movie is? Not really. There's a lot more in it, including Harvey Dent's actually the finale of the movie, the Two-Face scene.
Right.
So, I think it's kind of like you can't just have the one thing. You have to build around it, especially when it is a series. But with the way it was marketed, I expected more Hayden Christensen, more flashback stuff.
Well, and I asked this, like, why cast him and put him out there? I don't know if he's in the suit or not.
I've heard he is.
So, and we've had one flashback, and it was very, the de-aging that they did or didn't do was poorly done, I thought. It doesn't look like he looked, obviously, from either whether it was before Attack of the Clones or just after. I don't know what the timeline was there. But yeah, I was wanting more. I was wanting him sooner. We get him. I think it's in episode 3 where Obi-Wan sees him kind of off in the distance in his black cloak, and then that's it. So yeah, I'm wondering where it goes from here. And I talked to you about this. I don't see a happy ending for me in enjoying this series. I don't know what am I going to see in that final episode that's going to make me say, wow, that was great. Because they fought once in the sand dunes or whatever. They've forced talk to each other or sensed each other. We know that they can't have a huge big battle and one person can overtly win. We know that eventually Obi-Wan goes back to his cave on Tatooine. He lives a hermit life.
Yeah.
What's going to change for Obi-Wan at the end of this series? If there is no season 2, if there's a season 2 where there's more Obi-Wan adventures, then that's fine. But if this is the only season where, I don't see a fitting conclusion to this series, Chris. How do you see the final episode playing out for you?
Well, I see this season as basically Obi-Wan, how Kenobi got his groove back. That's kind of what I see it as. But yeah, I think also if you consider that the animated stuff, which has some Obi-Wan, from what I understand, I've seen the episode with him and Maul having a rematch. So I think there's more to do there. And it's not just, he goes back to live on Tatooine. He watches Luke from afar. I mean, there is that part of it, but I guess there's going to be more to it for him. As far as the finale goes, all I really need is one clash with Vader and Obi-Wan. And I want to see where Reva ends up. I'm not really asking a lot, because as far as I'm concerned, episode 3 was excellent. Episode 5 I also love. If the finale falls flat, it falls flat.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the release dates that Disney Plus is doing? Kenobi's on Wednesday. Miss Marvel's on Wednesday. I think there was a report or something on Twitter that I saw that Miss Marvel is one of the lowest MCU shows that they've done on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
They're releasing. Star Wars is the biggest thing in the world. Most days, and they're releasing a Miss Marvel show about an unknown character on the exact same day. Does the release dates bother you at all? Obviously, it's streaming; you can watch whenever you want. I watched Miss Marvel today. I watched Kenobi on Wednesday morning. But there's just, I don't know, something about it doesn't feel right that they're releasing both on the exact same day on the exact same platform.
Before we get to that,
Yep.
Would this ending work for you?
Why would he spare his life and then kill him 10 years later?
To suffer and be afraid. It's all about suffering.
That would not do it for me. And that's the problem. I don't know unless they change something, unless they say, okay, you know what, whatever happened in New Hope, let's just do our own thing. The movie was 40 years ago. Canon schmanon, which is fine with me. I actually hate canon most of the time.
Sure.
Canon schmanons. So if you want to have a badass battle, where somebody gets maimed, Vader loses another arm and loses his metal arm this time, or nobody gets a leg chopped off.
We can rebuild him.
Exactly, something. If they want to change something and give me something that I'm not going to expect, because all I'm expecting is the from this to end, and then years later, 10 years later, it's just he's the exact same Obi-Wan that we've seen and what we saw in this series. Nothing changed for me. It's the same Obi-Wan from that I remember. Like, why are you telling the story?
Fair. Yeah. So to go back to the question that you had,
yep,
I think that after this little experiment, releasing both on the same day is bad. It doesn't bother me, but I also wait at 2 a.m. to watch Kenobi, and then I watch Miss Marvel the next day or the day. I think I watched Miss Marvel on Thursday this week. And I think that the dual premieres hurt Miss Marvel on its opening week.
Mm-hmm.
I really do, because people were more excited to see Kenobi. And, if you have an hour of the day to dedicate to a series where because, you can relate to this, you don't get a lot of time during the day.
Nope.
Sometimes you might only have that hour. It's like, okay, I have an hour to myself. I'm going to watch Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of works like that.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I thought they had changed at one point. Whether I thought one was either going to be on Friday and one was going to be on Wednesday. I don't know why they changed. But that's the way it is sometimes. So yeah, that's what we watched, what we got into this week, guys. Yeah, I agree with you.
Ian is right. That's right.
Yeah, it's true. All right, guys, we got a Twitter poll up on the account from last week. It's a doozy. It's so good. Chris had to put 2 polls. Oh, man.
Bonus question.
Yeah, bonus question. So everything we just talked about, all our nerdy stuff, everyone's in our comments talking about nerdy stuffs. But do you talk about it with your real friends, the people you actually see in real life? Do you talk about it with your family? How involved are your spouses and your kids in your fandom? Here on Twitter, other social media platforms, we all kind of exist in our own bubbles that we share with like-minded people. But do you share your fandoms with local friends and family? We got absolutely. Nope. It's my own thing. Sharing is caring. And also, are your local family and friends already into some of your fandoms that you are? And the overwhelming winner on both of them. So your family and friends, are they already into your fandoms? Some of it was a 52%, and 47% of people share it with their friends and their family. We did get some comments. Seeking Superman. So at the Glenn Clark on Twitter says, absolutely everyone around me knows I am a Superman fan, and occasionally I am rewarded with odd pieces of Superman history because of it, and not just at my local comic book store, work, church, inner circle of friends that may not be in my comics. Phil at Philcast Movies, who's also in the comments, says absolutely he shares, and some of it. Some of the people he knows are into his fandoms. So, Chris, you got a nice little room there. I've got a little bit of a bigger room. So, are your family involved in your geek life? Obviously, you used to be a pretty big cosplay guy. Are they involved in the costumes? Your friends, family, real friends, the people you see on a regular basis. Are they involved in your geekdom?
To a certain degree, some of them are, some of them aren't. So for me, it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like a mix.
Mm-hmm.
But none of them are really as involved as I am. Like none of them are going to go to a comic store, pick up a book, and start reading it. Not many of them can tell you what the Long Halloween is, or even
Mm-hmm.
what Grimm would be. But they,
Right.
they'll watch the movies, and that's kind of where that ends.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually keep a lot of it to myself, just because they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where it ends for me. They just don't. They won't care about certain things, so it's just not worth it to get into it.
Yeah, for sure. I have one real life friend. It's the only friend I've had since high school. He's like he I'd be able to talk to him about something, but he's not invested as I am. He's not on Twitter actually, so he's not into the news like we follow as much. He watches most of the stuff that I do via his cousins who are more into it, like the Disney Plus shows. He watches Kenobi with them. Um, he is a geek in a sense, but not in the comic book sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I talk to him about a little bit of stuff, but it's not an ongoing basis like you, Chris. Like we talk almost every day about stuff that we've read or stuff in the news.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to him every day as well, but just about different stuff, not the same geek stuff that we talk about. As for my family, my wife is very much invested in it because she knows that I'm invested in it. She wants to. I don't want to say make me happy because that sounds fucking weird, but she wants to make sure that I like I like things and I enjoy things like all these comic books. So she'll buy me comic books and stuff like that. And if I can watch something with my son, like Star Wars or Marvel show, that's all great too. As for my extended family, my mother and aunts and uncles and stuff like that, or my brother, they know I'm into this stuff, but they don't know, and I don't share the fandom with them as well. Really, all my sharing of fandom basically comes down to people I've never met in real life before, which is both strange and not strange at the exact same time. Chris, how do you feel about sharing your love of all things comic books and movies and TV shows via people that you've never met in real life?
Oh, I'm actually more likely to do that just because I already know we're going to talk about it. We're all interested in it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something that we can enjoy together. Whereas, I have a friend who, if I bring up like a random comic book, what's that? What's it about? Why do you read that? Okay, hey, did you hear about this thing? It'll be next topic because it's just not their thing. So yeah, it's I prefer talking about in our bubble, I suppose you could say.
Mm-hmm.
I think that just works better.
Yeah, and I think it's nice to have different bubbles too. Thanks, Grabs. Thanks for checking us out. We'll see you next week. I think it's important to have different bubbles. Like I talk to people about sports, certain people.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to certain people about comic books and movies. I talk to certain people about wrestling or video games, stuff like that. I think it's important to have different bubbles so you're not. Yeah, I don't know. I think it makes it more enjoyable.
That's kind of the way I look at it too. Like, if I talk to everybody about the same thing, it might not be as interesting to me at that point. But sure. I like getting other opinions. But it's still good to have those different bubbles, like you say.
Mm-hmm.
The variety.
I would agree. Nice. Yeah, variety is nice in anything, whether it's something that you're enjoying or just talking about it. It seems like you have certain people that you talk about certain things with, and then there's some people you can talk about anything with too as well. I don't think there's no right or wrong way to do it. If you want to share your stuff, I remember before my wife really got interested in it, and there's some stuff that she doesn't see, like, oh, when did you get that comic book, or stuff like that. So it's not that I hide it from her, but some stuff you just like to have as your own as well. I don't mind reading a comic book and then not talking about it. Or just thinking about it myself, or a movie. Like I'll put a movie on and just watch it and be like, oh, okay, that was that, and now I don't have to talk about it. I don't have to express my feelings about it as well. It's just you're allowed to have your own things as well inside your own bubble.
Except when it's Twig.
Chris always and only wants to talk about Twig.
Yes.
So we got another Twitter poll up on this one. Chris is going a little spicier. He said he wanted to create chaos when he did this one. So we wanted to know whether or not you are more of a Lord of the Rings fan or Star Wars fan. I tweeted out that this is a difficult one to answer based on quantity alone. And somebody in the I think it was in the comments of the Twitter poll. Are you including the Hobbit movies in this as well?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So that's 6
Yeah,
movies.
Lord of the Rings as a whole.
Okay, so 6 movies, Visa 9 movies, and multiple TV shows. That was kind of my thing that I started thinking about. Okay, there's so much quantity in Star Wars, and there's so many different ways to view it. And obviously, that's going to change a little bit in September when Lord of the Rings gets its own TV show, stuff like that. So this is an interesting one. Eric in the comments as well. Star Trek, right on, buddy. Yeah, so this is an interesting one, Chris. It seems like they're 2 big fandoms and one loud one over one not so loud one. I don't know. Maybe that'll change in September as well when we get more Lord of the Rings.
We might revisit these results.
Content. I think we probably should. Yeah.
We might have another chaos grenade to throw.
I like that chaos grenade.
I love that GIF. I just discovered it last night. It's funny.
Cookie, we are not shocked. We know you're a huge potato lover, much like Christopher and I are.
Potatoes.
All right, guys. So make sure you head over to our Twitter account at G the Geeks and get your voice heard on the poll. Also, just leave a comment as well. We'll read it right here on the show. Chris, anything else you want to talk about before we get on out of here?
Just a quick note. I think, well, 2 quick notes. I think everybody should watch Cha Cha Real Smooth because it's amazing. I think it's really cool. It's a good story. It's funny. It's emotional. It grips you. And it's less than 2 hours. It's on Apple TV. Check it out.
Ooh, nice.
And I did have a second point. I just forgot what it was.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was something about that thread I had yesterday. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably not important.
Oh, your which one? Which one was that?
The Flash thing. Okay. So I'm gonna
yeah.
stand on a soapbox here for a second, guys.
Go for it.
There's, you know how when you tweet something out and you make it very clear it's your opinion, and then someone will say, like, they'll write you a storybook telling you how you're wrong. That's not cool. It's condescending. Let's not do that. Especially when, you know, the original tweet isn't obnoxious. It's not condemning anyone. It's kind of just, you know, throwing it out there.
Or tagging that person who is commenting on your tweet.
Or do that
well.
too. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just, let's just have some Twitter etiquette. You know what I mean? That's all. That's all I'm asking. Let's all be friendly here. So just those 2 things. And again, watch Cha Cha Real Smooth. It's a beautiful film.
So a lot of talk about that one from, tell me what this movie is, Chris. I have no idea.
We do need a t-shirt with Chaos Grenade. Top Gun Maverick something years. So I think it is considered a rom-com, but it's like a realistic rom-com, if that makes sense. Think more like I don't know. You know how like a Judd Apatow movie is funny, but then there's the real serious bits like Knocked Up or This Is 40. It's kind of in the vein of that, but not obnoxious.
Did you laugh?
Yes, and then I also got sad.
Okay.
In the same scene sometimes.
That's a rom-com.
Yeah, I would consider it a rom-com, but it's a very subdued rom-com, I would say. It's very modern, and it's got like a realistic edge to it. It's the writer, so the director and writer is also the star. His name is Cooper Raiff. I think I might pronouncing that incorrectly, but he's great in it, and also has Dakota Johnson. I think this. I've only seen her in a handful of things, and I'm not going to hold 50 Shades of Grey against her, but this role, she's fantastic in it. She really commands the scenes that she's in, and also has a really good representation for autism, for autistic people. I think it does a really good job of showing that. And what I like about the way that it handles it is that it allows you to know the character, if that makes sense. It's not like throwing it at you to where you don't know who the character is. You just know, okay, they are autistic. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it. And Dakota Johnson the lead?
She is one of the leads. Cooper Raiff and her are the lead characters.
Got it.
And it's just it's a wonderful
movie.
movie. Yeah, I really, really like it. I recommend it. It's a great story, great performances. You'll laugh, you'll get sad, and then you'll laugh some more.
Very cool. Since you mentioned something to watch, I think something that came out this week was the season 2 trailer for Only Murders in the Building.
My one.
I think everyone should make sure that they watch season 1 of Only Murders in the Building. I think it's a very underrated show. I don't know if maybe it's not underrated, but I don't know if many people saw it, and I think lots of people should see it. I think it's a very much like you, Chris. You were just talking about with Cha Cha Real Smooth. It's got that funny stuff, but there's also some real moments in it as well. So yeah, season 2 is coming up soon. The season 2 trailer was just released. I think it was last week again. So make sure you watch season 1 so you can watch season 2. Chris and I will be talking about that.
What's the premiere on that one? Do we know? I mean, we know, but I don't remember. Do you know?
I think it's in July.
Okay. Yeah, I cannot wait for that.
August 31st.
Oh, it's far. I thought it was closer. I think What We Do in the Shadows might be closer than that.
Season 3?
4?
4.
Maybe. I don't know. I just watch it, and it's amazing. I don't remember. But yeah, we'll have those 2 things to watch.
Right on. All right, Chris,
Batman
let's get on out of here. And Batman is on HBO Max. All right, let's get on out of here. Hit us up with some plugs, Chris.
Okay, you guys can follow me on Twitter at thatchris70. But as always, I prefer you guys follow the show at G of the Geeks. And if you watch this on Twitter, please let us know that you did. Because I think I said this last week, we're trying to explore some options here. And we need to know which works better for everybody.
You got her. You can follow me on Twitter at EmmettDavis7, but make sure you check out Gathering of the Geeks. We are available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Gathering of the Geeks, and you will find us. I want to say thanks to Eric, Phil, Cookie, Juan, Zeddy, DC Patrol, Grabs was here. Yeah. Thanks, guys, for watching. Ruben Gomez, thanks so much for watching. Always appreciate everyone jumping in and keeping us straight, keeping us organized. And we'll see you again next week. So in saying all that, for Chris, I'm Emmett, and we gather on Sundays.
Latest Gators.